Welcome back, SMITE fans. We're in Phase 2, Week 3 of the SEC, and we're scraping the bottom of the barrel. We figured Dave needs a break, Gore's extending his vacation. Someone's got to host, and it's going to be me, Mifflin. But I cannot do it alone. I'm joined here on the desk by Trelly Relly, one of our newest analysts to the SEC and the SPL. That's pretty poggers. I was told that I'm allowed to choose how quickly this goes, so I'm going to do that. Schedule? Yeah, let's take a peek at that, see what we've got lined up for the day. I'm pretty excited. We've got a bunch of really cool matchups. First off, the Hex Mambo versus the Gilded Gladiators, a team full of talent in Hex Mambo, and the Gilded Gladiators, a squad that is making some slight changes recently. Any of these matchups stand out to you?
I mean, anytime I'm seeing Mambo, it's going to stand out because they're undefeated, right? I just want to see how are they going to be able to keep that up because in phase number 1, they didn't look this good. Obviously, phase number 2, they started turning it up. So matchup number 1 is going to shoot out to me right away, right? I want to see how they're going to play and if they can continue that undefeated streak or if they're going to fall to the Gladiators who have not been doing, I'm not going to say bad, but they have been doing great. They're 1-2, I believe, at the moment. Let's see. Yeah, 1-2. Ooh, I'm on point today. They're 1-2, so they're not quite undefeated, but hey, this circuit is very close-knit. Anyone can really take a game off each other, so that's where my eyes are at the moment, Miff. Thanks for asking.
Yeah, I've never heard anyone describe 1-2 as not quite undefeated. You might be the nicest caster, legitimately. I would have just called them 1-2. But let's figure out exactly what it is that's been working out so well for Hex Mambo. And I think it's just got to be the team play, right? We talk a whole lot about the SEC versus the SPL disparity. SPL teams just know how to farm better, or their team fights a little bit cleaner, or their compositions are so much better. And when you've got a team like Hex Mambo in the SEC, full of this previous World Championship talent, these SPL prospects, these long-standing players with huge pedigrees, I think they're going to bring some of that SPL talent down to this league, which should spell a lot of success for everybody in the EU SEC as everyone's getting better practice, but maybe more immediately some success for Hex Mambo.
Yeah, I think you're right to highlight that. I think this team is able to just pick apart team fights so well off the back of Dzoni. I mean, he was just last week he was on point with this Loki, even though the game went to 55 minutes, and it might be, I think both of these games went about that long. Still, you're able to find so many picks before the fact that if you can start a fight off 5v4, you're probably looking pretty solid, right? If you're just able to get a single-out kill like that, it's just one of those things that most of these teams are not going to be able to deal with. You don't want to fight a man down. You just give up EFG at that point. So these teams are able to find success like that off the back of their junglers. Trix is super annoying as well as we get to watch
So
him.
annoying.
I mean, there's no other way to highlight. He just W keys to the backline. He's unkillable. And he's a nuisance, man. I mean, I love him as a person, but as a SMITE player, I wouldn't want to face him.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. And I do not envy the Gilded Gladiators for their opportunity to play up against Trixtank and the rest of Hex Mambo. But the Gilded Gladiators, Trelly, I think, are a team that have been making huge strides recently, which is why I was so surprised to see the changes in the recent weeks. Once they were out during the SPL play-in, some of these events, we had opportunities to speak to the coach of Gilded Gladiators. MastkiI's been very vocal about his willingness to stick together as a team, continue to improve. And every time we've seen them, they've done so. How do you feel about the most recent changes to this team?
Well, I mean, it's interesting because I didn't think there was, I'm not going to say, yeah, I didn't think there was an issue with the team roster before. They'd stuck together for so long. They were able to play off the back of Totti really well. But now that they have Dazer on the squad, I think, it's something they obviously thought as a unit they could improve their team fight. Maybe they just wanted a little bit of different synergy in that dual lane specifically. Support, pretty impactful role at the moment. You upgrade your relics at level 12 and then you hit some CC, and that's about the end of it. So as long as you can get someone who consistently do that, I think they're going to be pretty satisfied. As long as they've been getting some good practice with the new roster, I don't think it's gonna change too much.
And last week, I'd argue they show a very good performance despite having some of those growing pains. The Gilded Gladiators have very quickly become one of my favorite teams to watch in the EU SCC. They are a very aggressive squad that have got some of these unique selections. MastkiII in particular, I think, an absolute treat to watch, still willing to go back towards these auto attackers, things like the set, and be that bombastic, high-action player to be that pivotal point for his team. So certainly one that I want to keep my eyes on going forward. But let's keep everybody waiting no longer and move into P's and V's. See how much quicker things get moving once Mifflin's on the desk? I'm trying to get this pace up.
We cut the fat out of the.
Well, not out of the desk.
No, I mean we just cut the what?
Don't worry about it. Anyway, Nemesis banned out, Chernobog banned by the Gladiators as well. So far, largely standard across the board. I'm expecting this to stay true. I feel like the EU SEC has kind of figured out their bans and stuck with them.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw maybe like 1 or 2 target bans towards the latter half of the draft, but besides that, just, you know, sticking with what's good right now. The Chernobog always going to be strong. Nemesis Merc still on top of the jungle in the SEC, particular not so much in the SPL. Merc sort of fell off. AMC, though, that's just going to be some all-out pressure and some decent clear. I think the Baba Yaga, though, is interesting because, I mean, it's not top tier, but Zyrhoes loves it a lot. It's going to give you a fair bit of just sustain. He loves going on these early stacking items, and Baba's going to get so much free value.
I'm surprised to see this. Ravin locked in first overall. Certainly has had some changes recently. A lot better in the jungle with some of the scaling changes. A lot better in Soul Lane now that SOT is completely broken the meta with this Warding Sigil, Spirit Robe style build. Mitigation's Ravin. That's going to be taking like 80 damage in the late game. But there are a lot of value picks still available. Things like the Emoja still out there that has been dominant at every level of pro play. But we have seen the EU SEC kind of leave that by the wayside for the most part, and instead go towards their more comfortable selections.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if, you know, at least Sobek's at least a little bit looked at here by the Mambo just because how good Trix has looked on it recently. I think we looked at the win rate and it's something like 74% or something, like in 60 total games. Heimdallr always going to be extremely sought after in the USCC, extremely safe. You're up against Jing. You're probably not going to be looking to fight too much. Maybe you can use that Bifrost to get aggressive, but you can also use it to get aggressive and then just dip out of there. So I think always going to be safe. Huang is going to be the option, so could see some bans going the way of support since they haven't locked it in this slot. Fafnir is already picked. Could try to target out Trix here.
Yeah, looking at the top 3 from Hex Mambo, it is possibly 3 of the most survivable gods in Smite. Multiple ways to damage immune on Huang, as well as CC immunity in his ultimate, as well as his 3. Heimdallr with the global teleport plus CC immune dash, as well as knock up immunity and a knock away. Ravin overhead kick plus CC immunity ultimate. A very annoying composition so far from Mambo. Whereas the Gladiators, I think, have a bit more clarity in their draft. You've got the duo lane locked in, Jingwei, Fafnir, pretty survivable in their own right. Chulainn, which is quickly climbed up those power rankings, especially in both regions of the SCC. Very excited to see how these two teams line up against each other. Gladiators take Hun, Batz, and Daji off the table. Kali and Merlin on the other side, trying to target out a bit of that jungle and mid lane presence. But we were talking about it during the review there, or during the VODs. Set's been looking good for MastkiII.
Yeah, so that's going to be something that MastkiII wants to play here. Mambo are going to take a few bans their way of the jungle, so I'm interested to see what Dzoni goes to. He's been having good performances on the Loki. We already talked about the Sobek, and that actually didn't get banned away. So the Gladiators are a little bit more worried about the jungle presence than the support presence here from Mambo, which I think might be an issue because of how much CC he's going to bring in. Ratatoskr is going to be the option. Honestly, given the Ravin, I didn't think about this. Either one of them could be solo at this point. Given the build you were touching on that SOT is sort of brought into favor. Ravin more than likely going to that solo lane and Rat in the jungle, but either one could go at that point. Like the tank Rat that could just rotate halfway across the map at any given moment. Usually gonna have a good matchup into Tiamat. You can just land on him and force that jump out early. Then you can chase down with the dart. It's probably Ravin solo though.
Probably Ravin solo, but are you preferring Ravin solo? I think I am personally. I mean, I just saw like a Ravin take like 20 damage from a Frey in the late game, so I figure that's probably where you want it, but how do you feel about it?
I definitely think the Ravin solo is a little bit better given how the meta and how the builds are working.
Cool. Let's go ahead and jump straight into the game and figure out exactly where these gods are landing for both of these teams. I am expecting that you are correct. Ravin solo just feels so strong, which is a bit painful to say for me just because Ravin has just recently got legitimate buffs to his jungle presence. All that scaling with the power build really did make me excited to see him a bit more in the jungle. Unfortunate that SOT decided to break it immediately upon becoming competitively available. So it is Deathwalker taking the Ravin for himself, but a different look at Ravin solo. We're used to seeing the Warding Sigil. If you've been watching Haddix, you're used to seeing the Death Toll. Instead, a Soul Eater rush. How's that going to affect his laning phase?
It's kind of rough. I honestly don't love this. I understand since you have teleport, you can back right when that Soul Eater's finished. He's got a fair bit of sustain already with a Chalice and the multi-pot, so shouldn't be too worried here. He's going to take a ton of damage, and actually the Stunks isn't going to even go for the poke there, probably recognizing how much sustain he had in those potions. But, you know, as long as you get that Soul Eater online, I think your lane's not going to be too bad. But early on, you might be looking at those blue buff invades just given how little pressure you actually have with the tier 2 Soul Eater start.
MastkiII taking a bit of damage here. Dzoni connects the dart and gets first blood to Hex Mambo. This is a trend we've seen a whole lot when Huang's been locked in mid. That early game presence just so strong. Cultivated Dow for the root, massive burst potential, and then an immediate lockdown there by the jungler of Hex Mambo. A great start for the veteran team, and one I'm expecting to see them keep pace with. Johnny's got a lot of experience playing at the SPL level on these global presence junglers, talking about the Apollos, the Ratatoskrs, and at times the Thors. When he pulls an early lead, I expect him to make rotations over towards duo TottiGR. Pulled in, interesting look at how Jing interacts with Sobek, able to dash out immediately. Expect to see a whole lot of that. As long as TottiGR's got the dash, those beads are going to be nearly untouchable in this lane. But I'm expecting the dual lane to hit an inflection point pretty soon once these soul lane, or supports rather, start to rotate out. How does Heimdallr versus Jing start to look?
Yeah, I'll tell you how it looks. It looks like a lot of wave clear and no one getting aggressive. I mean, Echrome's got some options to try and close gap, but it's usually force airstrike, Bifrost out because you're getting ganked on, and repeat. That's just that's what most ADC matchups look right now in the duo lane. If you're leaving your hunter on an island, they might try and bait out an ult 2, but they're not going to get too aggressive. I got to highlight the Conduit gem start that I've been seeing so much more often lately, and I like it a lot more in the sands of time. Gives you so much early burst damage. We just saw Zyrhoes get a ton of damage. Johnny gets credit for the kill, and now that's going to help out, but it looks like Johnny is trying to go onto this blue buff and will be able to steal that one away. Deathwalker didn't even help. He was just like, I got a wave to clear, good luck, and the Ratatoskr doesn't need any help.
Yeah, unfortunate timing there from lestimics' first ability. The spear leaving the blue buff at about 50 HP. Easy secure for Johnny, but one that you're probably favoring the Ratatoskr in regardless. The stun so powerful, the burst potential pretty hard to deal with as a Kumbhakarna in lane. So the concern we had for Deathwalker being, hey, that early game presence probably a little bit lacking until you get the Soul Eater finished, has immediately been alleviated by Johnny, who pulls a lead for himself. See you making a face, man. What's up?
He TP'd and didn't even buy anything. Like, Deathwalker used teleport.
Yeah, he's surely broke.
But he didn't get Soul Eater, man. I figured he would at least try and survive in lane, but guess what? He ran out of mana, so he had to back up. He still has blue buff, but he's running out of mana. This is the issue at this start. I'm sure he'll get online eventually, and then he'll be really sick in lane. He can get, like, Bumba's Hammer late game if he really wants to. The Sigil's always going to be an option. Any one of the starters, I think, can just flow into the kit pretty well, but when you back and you don't buy anything, that does not feel good in lane.
Well, he got a couple of potions, a chalice as well. You know,
he
so
had the
some
chalice
healing.
when he got here. That's what I'm saying.
Look, he's doing well for himself, all right? Slight lead, some experience over lestimics. He's starting to get that ultimate online. Doesn't need to be concerned about the 1v1. Well, maybe he does. Johnny hovering in. No good with his ultimate, but the chase down is nice. lestimics forced to use the beads defensively and will fall down immediately afterwards. So not only has lestimics gone for the defensive relic, but he's also lost out on it as well as his life. So immediately an advantage over to Deathwalker, not only in rotation ability, but also in farm experience and gold. Toddy pulled in yet again. Trixtank undeterred. He keeps going for TottiGR. Gotta think maybe if you just displace Dazer there, you might get a little bit more value, at least a couple more autos from Echrome, but I guess he's just gonna keep Toddy on his toes.
Yeah, trying to get those beads down, maybe looking for an ult there from Echrome. Not gonna be the option. The ultimates are great for trying to find a kill, but Jingwei just so safe in lane, holding onto the beads. About to get that airstrike available soon, as Trix is still just relentless in his search for a pluck, even though it could just be dashed out. An extra bit of damage, extra bit of poke. Any bit of presence. This purple buff's about to spawn in, and I think that's why we see so much targeted aggression here in the duo lane. Johnny already used that ultimate, so I don't expect to see any global presence coming this way for quite some time, but Trix doesn't care. I don't think he needs the help.
Yeah, plenty of lead for Hex Mambo in just about every single lane so far. About a half level in mid, Deathwalker nearly an entire level up. But the jungle a little bit more interesting. MastkiII, who has shown nearly zero presence insofar as ganks so far, has been doing a great job of just farming up in his own regard. 0-1 on the set, but only about a half level down on Johnny, who has just now ticked over 2-7. I'd expected to see Johnny make the rotation over towards that purple buff you were talking about, but perhaps concerned about the Gilded Gladiators counter rotations, Hex Mambo alleviating some of the pressure they had established in the dual lane as Trixtank had headed back to base. Doesn't really make a conducive argument for moving in towards the purple buff, as we see MastkiII dashing forward. Not really too active right now. I'm expecting a bit of a slower pace. I got tricked by the early as Johnny does connect the double stun, forcing the leap from Sap 7 over the wall and an immediate reset to the Greater Scorpion. This is the farming we were talking about earlier, man. Hex Mambo just all over the map.
Yeah, I'm looking at MastkiII's targets at the moment, and I'm not seeing any good engage for this set. Usually you look and you're like, oh, okay, Deathwalker's you know, movement abilities down, overhead kicks down. Okay, now I'm going to go in. Oh, but he has so much cooldown anyway, so that's not going to be a good target. You, Huang, just go up in that Celestial Flight, use the Dueling Dragons to push you away. That's not going to be your greatest engage. Echrome's constantly holding on to the Bifrost. It's not like Toddy's going to be able to force out an ultimate or a relic, so I think MastkiII's work's cut out for him here. Maybe if Deathwalker gets a little bit over-aggressive. Kingslayer's a great re-engage, but I don't think he want to be the first one going in ever in these fights. Set likes to sit in the back and say, hey, I'm gonna wait for some leaps to go down, some dashes, any sort of relic, and then I can look to engage. Not going to be a good time, and it looks like MastkiII is going to have to run away as Johnny wants this blue buff once again.
Up into the air is Johnny, but it's a massive rotation from the Gilded Gladiators. SAP7, left a bit isolated, jukes out the ultimate from Ratatoskr, and is allowed to maintain the majority of his kit. Had that ultimate connected, there was a decent rotation potential from the rest of Hex Mambo. Trixtank hovering nearby, Zyrhoes could have likely connected the ultimate, so good wherewithal from SAP7 to realize that Johnny had shifted up his target. And I tend to agree, Trelly. I feel like looking at MastkiII, there's not really a whole lot of potential for a 1v1, though, in the duo lane. Echrome teleports forward, but TottiGR able to maintain his life, if not his relic, beats down for a couple of minutes. Could put a target on his back for Johnny. But as I was saying, yeah, MastkiII really doesn't have the greatest opportunities to gank any of these lanes. How do you feel about the Gilded Gladiators composition in the 5-on-5, though?
Yeah, in the team fight, I think it gets a little bit better. You have to hope that lestimics is going to get a blink, because you don't have a linear engage unless it's just Dazer hitting a hammer and then the rest of the squad following up. So a blink knockup from lestimics could open the doors for MastkiII to get to the backline, try and shred through some of the... Oh, man, lestimics could be in some trouble here, actually. So I'm going to wait and see if Johnny finds that point. Doesn't look like lestimics... Oh, he did de-transform. So if we see the Salmon Leap here, we could see some aggression.
Yeah, leap. Salmon leap. Do it. He's holding on to the leap for now, realizing that could be his life. Is able to get into the tower line.
What?
It's commitment from Deathwalker. A bit of a miscommunication between the jungler and soul laner. And now MastkiII finally finds that opportunity for the counter engage, exactly as you had highlighted. An overstep from Deathwalker immediately cost him his life. The Gilded Gladiators now find their first on the board, bringing the slash lines to 1 and 2 and keeping the gold lead at a minimum. Massive misplay there from Deathwalker. Seemed to me like Johnny was just done and Deathwalker wasn't quite willing to let it go.
Yeah, it seemed like Deathwalker called it off first. He was like, okay, we can't kill. And then Johnny's like, well, I got a stun. And then he's like, all right, I got Mystic Rush. And then right as Johnny, he's like, oh, no, we're done. And then he just turns around and sees Deathwalker ulting on a tower. So a little bit unfortunate miscommunication. But for MastkiII, finally sees a golden opportunity to use that ultimate, as you highlighted. Well, I guess I highlighted it, and then you highlighted me highlighting it. So
That's
I do
right.
appreciate that. The ult being down was the opportunity that they needed. And SAP7 has the jump available. We'll have to run for Trix.
SAP7 is clipped by the slow, but Trix won't stick to him. Johnny up into the air, does not have the range, but could connect the stun from here. SAP7 preemptively using the CC immediately on his ultimate on the off chance that Johnny would commit. And the Gilded Gladiators are able to maintain their lives yet again, but not without any cost. Beads lost now for SAP7, so Hex Mambo could very easily rotate their way back through and continue their onslaught. Considering the pacing of this game, Charlie, what would you like to see Hex Mambo do to kind of force an engagement? Because it feels like they're really the ones getting proactive. This could just be it.
Yeah,
through the realms connected. Yeah, it's there. Stunned too early, though, from Johnny. An uncharacteristic mistake, but a blink forward into a dart will confirm the kill nonetheless, only really costing him his relic as well. No, that's Johnny, man. He knows what he's doing.
He missed his Acorn Blast, man.
Okay, don't have to call him out. MastkiII looking for his opportunity to yet again counterpunch into the jungler of Hex Mambo. Johnny taking a good deal of damage. Crusher, not enough to finish it off. The auto attack is MastkiII second on the board, but it's a rotation from Hex Mambo's dual lane that might cost him.
And it looks like Dazer jumps in there, so should be a free kill trying to sack 4 MastkiIIs. Echrome and Trix are on different targets here. If Echrome can finish this, maybe Trix will be able to find another pluck in. The Dalahorn should, but he's got Shell.
The Shell's keeping him alive for just a moment. That leap's coming up shortly, but will not get up in time. Echrome credit for yet another 4 and 2. Favoring Hex Mambo, and yet again it's the Gilded Gladiators picked out immediately. A rotation back in from MastkiII baits the Gladiators out of position, and Hex Mambo keep up their onslaught. Trix, he's got plenty of data on how this matchup works. He knows if he commits the pluck, he's just going to have it dashed out, so does not do so on the off chance that somebody else from the Gladiators is nearby. Hex Mambo pushing their lead, but only slightly. Have not found an opportunity to look towards any of these structures, have not been able to go in towards the neutral objectives either. Just a slow overall pace as Totti just lines up a bit too much. This is the second time this game where I've seen him take the 1v1 in auto trade and just not win out.
Yeah, and the builds are the exact same, give or take a little bit. It's obviously the Balanced Blade versus the Tier 2 Atalanta's bow there for Totti. So not too much damage differential, just Heimdallr hits a lot harder than Jing Wei at the moment, and you're probably not wanting to trade those auto attacks. We saw the beats get forced, and the regank opportunity, Dzoni was able to get that kill. Of course, Totti can fly back into lane, but you're still going to miss out on a little bit of farm. You don't want to be giving your HP bar that freely, and I don't think you want to be taking those auto trades. As long as your farm's not being contested, I wouldn't want to fight up against Echrome. It looks like we're going to keep seeing that same style of build. But given the fact that Johnny's on the right side of the map, I want to see a little bit of aggression over here. The blue buff should just be going up and going down. You do have the ultimate available, so could just get anywhere on the map. Relic-wise, I don't see any glaring opportunity, though. We saw what happened for MastkiII to get active. You really want to see that re-engage from set. Given the fact that no one's fighting, MastkiII's probably just going to be running to farm.
And farming, he's doing very well. Has maintained pace with Dzoni, who's at 3-1, starts stacking up to Transcendence. So going to be a little while until he gets those power spikes, whereas Dzoni, at full strength already, can continue his onslaught. Drops MastkiII down to about half HP, forcing the reset. Dazer pulled back in, immediately into Deathwalker, so it's the Draconic transformation for a little bit of safety. Good CC, keeps him locked down, but the peel better from lestimics to force out at least a couple more ultimates. Both Deathwalker and Dzoni forced to use theirs there, but it's a counter rotation yet again from the Gilded Gladiators. Dueling Dragons connects with 2, but not before MastkiII hits pay dirt, takes out 1. Can they get out alive is the question. Answer is no. MastkiII falls down. Sap 7 forced to use those beads, but Trixtank will not commit himself to the dive. Instead, disengage opportunity for Hex Mambo. Dzoni low, lestimics on the chase, but that should spell the end of the engagement.
That was sick by Trix. If that's me, 10 out of 10 times I'm plucking Sap 7 for the kill and then just leaving my team by the wayside. But save that pluck to make sure to peel out for his squad. Everyone's able to get out and continually doing so, making sure that blue buff goes down as well. So just a heads up play from the veteran support, knowing I could go for this kill here, but it's better to keep my team alive. We've got some bounties. A lot of my team has some kills on their head. We don't want to lose that in a 1v1 trade because I'm diving that tower. So good play, getting some relics down, and a lot of aggression coming the way of Hex Mambo. This is not the style they usually play, Mythville. Usually it's more so like maybe a kill here and there, a gank here and there, but we're not looking to pass that halfway point. We're not looking to invade any jungle camps until, you know, we're feeling confident about 25 minutes or so looking for Fire Giants. So Hex Mambo coming out of the gate swinging. The gold lead's in their favor about 1,000, but I'm loving this change of pace here.
Yeah, I am a huge fan of any time the action starts to pick up in these games. Hex Mambo certainly bringing that early on. Maybe a byproduct of this incredibly safe composition, right? Like, you're allowed to get a little bit wild on the map when you have this much survivability built into your draft, and the Good Gladiators clearly showing that they are struggling to confirm some of these kills even when individual members are dropped low. The peel potential of Trixtank, the global presence from Dzoni, all the CC immunity from every single one of their carries, as well as the Soul Inner, makes it so difficult for the Gilded Gladiators to commit. All right, yeah, a blink forward to steal away the offering. Deathwalker leaves no stone unturned. My man is all about the macro, and he gets it for himself. I wonder what's going through MastkiII's head there. Like, I'm thinking it's got to be like, okay.
I know exactly what happened. He's like, all right, guys, I'm 10 gold off from finishing this Heartseeker, and then he just blinked in still. I was like, oh, man, now I got to wait a couple extra seconds before I can finish that one. Deathwalker's knowing MastkiII's build to a T, making sure you can steal that one away. But in reality, the offerings could be what they're looking for, trying to get that Trebuchet online. Could be helpful, looking to get an invade with that, you know, wherever the Trebuchet decides to spawn, you can say, hey, we're going to go left with it, we can go right with it, we can pull the Gold Fury, given that, but Trix is looking to get aggressive.
MastkiII dropped low quickly, forced to use the Aegis, immediately a pull back in, has dropped him low. He's stuck in the water, Dzoni in the air, waiting for the teleport. He should be able to confirm it here. Kill to the Hex Mambo's jungler, but lestimics has already made the rotation and transforms. Maybe can connect a bit of CC lockdown. Totti sinking some shots into the back of Trixtank, but not enough damage just yet from the ADC of the Gilded Gladiators. So a 1-for-0 trade favoring Mambo, unless Totti just doesn't get hit by the ultimate. Echrome goes a bit wide there. Should spell the end of the engagement for now, unless the Gilded Gladiators have got something to say about it. It would seem they do. Trixtank taking a whole lot here. Echrome just hovering nearby, making sure that nothing else will come of it. maybe a slight misplay, but one that you're allowed to make if you got a lead like Hex Mambo's got.
Yeah, Totti had the beads just in case, and the airstrike, so I don't think too much danger there, but would have loved to try and force that one out. He's going to dash it on Trixtank, but I'm so confident that he's not going to die.
One crit? Yeah, he's dead. Nice caster's curse, bud. Trixtank falls down, and that's the crit chance from Jingwei early on. Atalantas, explosive bolts, maybe Trixtank not accounting for that as well. I could imagine he's thinking exactly what you're saying, but a couple too many crits there from Totti is able to secure the kill, and now the Gilded Gladiators have got a bit of an opportunity. 20 seconds on Trixtank's respawn, and they're going to go ahead and use that. Leverage it around the Gold Fury pulled out. Nobody from Hex Mambo showing any presence. Dazer acting as an iron wall, keeping Zyrhoes at bay. So it's an easy Gold Fury. First objective of the game to the Gilded Gladiators, but still a lead for Hex Mambo.
Yeah, that's as free as they come. It looked like Zyrhoes wanted to step up, but then was like, I'm not going to try and deal with this. The slow from Dazer. The stun, my red buff's up. I'm not going to really try and commit too much to a possible steal attempt. It doesn't look too realistic, but a level 17 Dzoni, jeez, man. Level 17 at 17 minutes in a meta like this is wild. He's been farming so well, 5-1. Even though the Gold Fury just goes down for the Gladiators, was still able to keep his farm up. And one thing I did want to highlight is the fact that lestimics makes that rotation over. Deathwalker did not do that, just started proxying the wave. So despite the fact that the Gilded Gladiators won out there and get that objective, still so much farm and aggression from Mambo on the opposite side. They didn't need to fight that. Woo! They probably wanted to, though.
Trixtank blinks in, does not connect the pull on a MastkiII, who did not have leap available. Beads were up, though, so maybe not a real opportunity for a kill, but even stripping away that relic could get you a Pyromancer in that situation. Blue buff invade attempt now from Hex Mambo. Deathwalker leading the charge, forcing out lestimics. And there's that Soul Eater sustain finally starting to rear its head with Glad, Shield, and Urchin now finished as well. Deathwalker getting a whole lot of defense. No mitigations really, and not the build we're used to seeing, but still certainly a bully in the lane. And he's throwing around his weight early.
Yeah, and he is going into that Bumbas a little bit early, only level 16. Usually you see that in the 4th item slot, but given the fact that he won't be finishing it for quite some time, maybe he just wants to build a tier 1 or upgrade those relics in the meantime. It's going to be a bit before we see that Bumbas hammer start swinging. Also, not too many stacks on the Urchin just yet either, as Dzoni's looking for some aggression.
Sap 7 dropped low, forced to leap out, but he is completely surrounded. Dzoni puts his 6th on the board as Dazer now in a bit of a poor position, forced to leap away, de-transform. I like the call to immune the pluck. A little bit early from Trixtank, but can he survive Dzoni's dive as well? Well, it seems as if Dzoni's changed his mind, sees the Gilded Gladiators have shown up in numbers. Will connect with TottiGR, stripping away those beads and 50% of his HP. Hex Mambo, unrelenting in their aggression. 1-for-0 trade, but what can they do with this pressure? Right side tier 1, yeah, Deathwalker's got that. Nobody here to defend there. Tier 1 in mid, it's going to be a little bit more interesting. Blinking from lestimics connects with 2, forces to disengage from Hex Mambo. And I'm sure that's a disengage they're happy with. Already got the kill, took out a tier 1 on right. Massive swing over to the Order team.
Yeah, and Dzoni's in left lane still clear. I was going to say, every time I look over and see Deathwalker not rotating, I'm like, surely this is going to result in something from the Gilded Gladiators working out, but just a smart mind knowing there's not too much aggression coming their way, no one's going to die, and the tier 1 tower is going to net more gold than that rotation would have. So staying in lane, definitely the smart option. Dzoni splits the farm up as well. Every time the Gladiators think they have a decent opportunity to fight, every time they think they've stopped the aggression, they look over in their side lanes and they're seeing farm is still being had. And now about 4,000 in favor of Hex Mambo, just about. The lead is climbing despite the fact that they haven't gotten any real objectives besides that tower. So the Pyromancer could be an option, as it looks like MastkiII's getting aggressive onto Dzoni here.
Yeah, Dzoni puts a good deal of damage into MastkiII for even having the thought to step up to him. Drops him down to half HP. Now Dzoni continually stepping forward. Seemed to me the Gilded Gladiators were just heat checking to see if they had an opportunity to look towards the Pyromancer, but presence from Hex Mambo will stop that in its tracks, and continued presence from Hex Mambo might just net you a tier 1 tower in mid. I am loving how Dzoni's been approaching these team fights as well. Not very often we see him initiating with the ultimate. He's holding onto it just for chase. Pyromancer pulled out now and dropped low. Dazer nearby, but difficult for a Fafnir to steal, but not impossible, as the Gilded Gladiators have taken the Pyro for themselves. Hex Mambo just not enough presence, not enough secure.
Yeah, I mean, the 7,000 XP is one thing, but only 2,000 gold lead because the objectives have been going the way of the Gilded Gladiators. The steal there by Dazer, the Gold Fury beforehand. I mean, they've been playing this as well as you can, given the fact that they're under so much aggression from stuff like this, where Trixtank is just being able to blink in, pluck when need be, find so much just displacement. There aren't any beads down at the moment except for TottiGR, who is not anywhere close to a fight at the moment. So I don't think we're going to see too much targeted aggression there because Totti's in the backline. But either way, it's hard to try and step up was the point I'm trying to get across there. When Trix is in your face, constantly tail whipping, it's just difficult.
Yeah, I completely understand, right? Like, Sobek, so good not only at initiating the fight, but also at stopping fights when it's time to stop your aggression. And Trixtank, clearly very adept at making those decisions. Speaking of decisions, a crazy one from the Gilded Gladiators, a significant grouping around the Fire Giant, 4-man presence. No ADC here just yet. Hex Mambo, realizing nobody on the map from the Gilded Gladiators, will check the objective. 50% on Fire Giant itself as Trixtank turns the corner, and an immediate reset. Can they make it out alive? Gilded Gladiators actually looking to turn around the engagement. Trixtank taking a whole lot of damage as Deathwalker works his way into the backline. Ultimate already expended, so can't chase out Totti. Luckily, Dzoni is here with the chase. Connects the ultimate, connects the kill, but can he make it out alive? MastkiII been waiting for his opportunity to counterpunch, but realizes he'd be walking into a 5-stack of Hex Mambo. Gilded Gladiators routed and dismantled through the realms. Should finish off the kill. Echrome, credit for the double. And there's only 2 standing, jungler and mid laner for the Gilded Gladiators. They may have started the fire, and they may have stolen a couple of objectives, but with only 2 members, you gotta think this one's going to the Mambo.
Yeah, it looks like MastkiII is just going to push up that lane. I was considering maybe going underneath, knows there's a ward there, and decided against it. Just going to steal away as much farm as possible. I don't even hate the call by the Gladiators. They had the Draconic Transformation. They had decent confirm, but they just didn't have the burn. The objective burn was not there. Trixtank blinks in immediately, just trying to be as annoying as possible. And right when you see that Sobek, that fire calls off. You don't want to 50-50 that. And Dzoni's ult is already back up. He's trying to chase this down.
Sap able to avoid it, but the blink's still available for Dzoni. Has he overstepped? MastkiII on the chase as the teleport forward. Dzoni meets up with his team for peel, but not quick enough. Trixtank, credit for the kill, but MastkiII trading out his life for Dzoni's is just massive value. Taking a Fire Giant off the largest member of Hex Mambo, getting that kill bounty, dropped him to 7-2. That's got to be massive for MastkiII on the other side. Oni Fury dropped low. Hex Mambo able to secure it, but I'm not convinced by that secure. It seems to me they are just playing around a bit too much at these objectives. Dazer pulled back in, dropped low. Draconic Transformation just for a bit of survivability, but not enough. A pull in from Zyrhoes and a couple auto attacks from Echrome secures yet another kill. And Hex Mambo, with 40 seconds left on Dazer's respawn and 15 on MastkiII's, should be able to push down this tier 2.
Yeah, I don't think they have too much fear in the heart at the moment. They should just be able to go for that, as you said. The objection confirm. They're just throwing abilities. I don't think Zyrhoes is there to confirm. I think they're just like,
he hasn't ulted an objective yet.
Yeah, he's just like, yeah, maybe if they get it, like, unfortunate, but they just are sort of just throwing up tosses. It's working out in their favor. They have the gold lead, sure. They got a few objectives stolen from them. I mean, obviously they just the Pyromancer and the gold free was just taken willingly, but now they're gonna get it this time, and they will have the Oni minions pushing in. They're able to try and group up as much as possible and look for some aggression. There's still 2 tier 2 towers standing. Despite the fact that there is this massive gold lead, still some items and some power spikes to look at here if you are Hex Mambo. 8,000 gold and double that in experience. The experience doesn't matter as much, but you'd love to be level 20 for SAP 7, so that would help out. Lestimics also not quite at that upgraded starter item just yet. And Dazer's level 14, so that's not the best look when Trix is level 18. You would love to try and match that, or at least stay, within 2 levels. 4, that's a bit much.
Dazer pulled in, level 14 as you said, so not a whole lot of defense to work with. Through the realms, connects, and Dazer jumps right into the waiting arms of Dzoni. So that's a clean, secured kill. I was going to ask you where we'd see a defense from the Gilded Gladiators, but they are not allowed to make the decision themselves. SAP 7 forced to use the beads as Trixtank connects yet another pluck. Defense showing presence from the tier 2. The Gilded Gladiators doing Dragons no good from Zyrhoes. It's a slow push from Hex Mambo. Base defense not so weak from the Gladiators that they have to give up all of their presence. I'd like to see exactly this, a split push from Hex Mambo. Send Dzoni over to the other side of the map, have him leverage that global presence if he needs to get to a team fight. Otherwise, just take out a couple of towers with no defense opportunity from the Gilded Gladiators. And it seems as if they figured out, hey, Dzoni could come from behind. Deathwalker's already set up behind the tier 2 as well. Maybe we don't want to dig in our heels here. You can have TottiGR play a bit further up as he's got all that survivability as a Jingwei, but not the best opportunity. That's what I was thinking until Hex Mambo decided to just walk away. Clean play. They're clinical. They're not going to leave it up to any mistakes. Pick up the Pyromancer, regroup, rinse, repeat. You only got 30 seconds left to play with this fire.
Yeah, that tier 2 tower certainly could have been looked at, but the Gilded Gladiators form a decent defense there. Trixtank also wasn't the healthiest at the time. Maybe didn't want to tank that tower up about half HP, so decided to back off. Smart call. They're able to spend a ton of gold, and Fire Giant will be up shortly anyways. You got about 19 seconds left on the buff. That should be the end of this push. Surprised that we didn't see that tier 2 tower go down, but again, we already highlighted why. I think they were a little bit, not scared so much as just playing as smart as you can, just calm, cool, and collected. Our Hex Mambo at the moment, and the fact that Zyrhoes' ult was just off the mark there. Maybe if they pull back in, maybe if they get a little bit of extra damage, they're feeling a little bit more confident in diving that one. But without that, they're just going to go back, and they have a trebuchet going down mid, so possibly looking to group up in the meantime. They've got a bit before they're able to go for that FG, so just force some presence around the map, see what they can get. You got about 30 seconds on Sap 7's beads. Everything else on the left side of the map is up, so Hex Mambo's looking to get aggressive whenever possible.
What do you think the Gilded Gladiators are going to do around this Fire Giant? Are you expecting a defense in neutral territory? Are you waiting to defend under your Phoenix? What's the power play here? What's the way back in for the Gladiators?
I mean, Dazer, he's a steel machine at the moment.
Surprisingly.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If I can see him go for a nice jump steal and then just, even if he dies, I feel like that's super worth it, given the fact that his life...
Low odds play, though.
Yeah, of course it's low odds, but the gold lead's not looking good. I mean, it's about 10K.
That's not great.
And you still have one tier 2 tower and 3 birds up, so it's going to be a lot of gold able to grab here for Hex Mambo if you don't go for that play. It looks like, given the positioning of MastkiII, no one's going to be going for a steal. You got the Tiamat minions pushing up mid as well, just trying to split the map as much as possible. Dzoni, I mean, he has the ultimate, but he's trying to stop this by himself. There's 3 members of the Gladiators here.
Yeah, Dzoni maybe realizing that there are too many. Still has the ultimate to disengage and will use it, but not in time. The damage just too quick from the Gilded Gladiators. 4 versus 1 seems to be a good fight odds for the Gladiators themselves. So tier 1 and tier 2 to the Chaos team, and a pick onto the jungler, Dzoni. Massive gold infusion to the Gladiators there. So we're going to look at a 40-second wait period from Hex Mambo. Surprised to see this. I thought the Gladiators would be happy with the win that they had found for themselves, but it's an initiation around the Phoenix. Dazer pulled back in, but Deathwalker has completely separated the fight. Totti forced to ult defensively. Dazer might just be left alone in the back line, stuck up against the wall, and now through the realms. He's got to trip through Niflheim to think about his transgressions, as the rest of the Gilded Gladiators is trying to stop Deathwalker, and they cannot. He is an iron wall now that his Bumba's hammer has been finished up. Dash away from MastkiII, creates a bit of space. The Gilded Gladiators all about disengage here. Beats and Aegis off of Echrome. Maybe a bit more than the Gladiators had thought they were capable of. So this next round of base defense should look a lot better, especially around Echrome. You got to think there's a target on his back.
Yeah, I don't think needed to use both relics on that NATO either. You know, you risk getting knocked up and taking a fair bit of damage. The beads I understand, but you know, I guess it's better to use it than lose it, right? If you die there, your whole team, you're not going to get anything off this Fire Giant, and your ADC probably the most important for trying to get these Phoenixes down. So, you know what? I take it back. I respect the play. It's better to just make sure to throw those down and continue being safe in this lane. As Dzoni will be able to rejoin the team, and they're looking for the mid Phoenix here.
Mid-Phoenix sieging slowly. It's all about damage on gods, and lestimics finding out quickly that he's not as tanky as he once was. Fight separated, and a good knockup from lestimics should force Hex Mambo back, but if they step too far forward on the Gladiators, Sap 7 dropped low, able to disengage. Deathwalker trying his best to tank up with sustain, puts a good deal of damage into the support of the Gilded Gladiators. The poke war has finally slowed down, and it seems to me Hex Mambo has come out ahead. Fire Giant should resustain in some of the kits as well. Can keep you alive. But the Gilded Gladiators have done a good job of slowing this down. Mid-Phoenix, only about 10% HP left to work with, and Hex Mambo licking their wounds in the jungle. Gotta think with a full minute and a half left on this Fire Giant power play, the mid-Phoenix's days are numbered.
Yeah, Zyrhoes is just standing at the tower line at the moment. He's like, I want this, guys. Can you heal up on his hammer? And it looks like Deathwalker will blink in.
It's an easy engage for Deathwalker. It fully resustained himself. Echrome finished off the Phoenix, and now it's all about God kills. Sap 7 dropped low, but should be able to find some safety behind his Titan. Same cannot be said of Dazer. Forced to retreat to his fountain, and Hex Mambo might come up empty yet again. Deathwalker on this Robin should be able to disengage. MastkiII thinking about going in himself. Takes one ability from Zyrhoes and thinks twice. So it's a mid-Phoenix for nothing. Hex Mambo have finally broken the base of the Gilded Gladiators. Reset back to neutral. Start working on the Gold Fury. Maybe head back to base again. Could be we're looking at another wait period while we wait on this next Fire Giant to respawn. After you head back to base, post Primal Fury, regroup. You probably only have like 20 seconds left to play with this fire.
Yeah, given the fact that they have a bird down, could probably go for that left side Phoenix just to try and split the map as much as possible, but I don't imagine that's the play style that we're going to see here. Probably just the, we got the Phoenix down, we'll play off that as much as we can, and then we'll go for that enhanced Fire Giant once it does become available in about minute 30 or so. And given the fact that SAP7 has those Tiamat minions, the mid Phoenix isn't going down. Isn't going to be the biggest deal. You should be able to stop some of that presence. You don't have to worry about your Titan getting poked down by the fire minions or anything like that. I imagine the stall here from the Gilded Gladiators is not going to be, or is going to be pretty strong. I don't think they're going to be too worried about that. The fight back, though, is what I'm looking at. A fight in neutral territory at the enhanced Fire Giant hasn't went their way in a while. They've been able to stop at the Phoenix. They've been able to stop at the Tier 2 tower. They got to pick on a Dzoni when it's 1v4. When it's a 5v5 and you don't have a bird to hide under, I don't think the Gladiators are favoring that one too much, and it's mostly because the guy right now, Trixtank, at the front of this fight, trying to see, has that blink available, anyone he can pluck in, anyone he can put out of position.
And he looks for Dazer, bit of damage from Echrome immediately afterward. That's 1 or 2 auto attacks taking off 15% of his HP bar. Dzoni, in creating space, lose out on a bit of his own as well. The Gilded Gladiators showing a lot of presence around the Fire Giant, which should be respawning in about half a minute. Hex Mambo trying their best to establish ward dominance. Zyrhoes currently standing on one of the Gladiators' wards, so they've got a good idea of where Hex Mambo are playing. They're still looking for these picks, that maybe Deathwalker is heading back to base. Cancels that back, though, so Gilded Gladiators won't have that opportunity to initiate. But it does seem to me that the Chaos team is willing to put up a fight around the Fire Giant itself. They may not have been winning out too often in this territory, but all the carries ticking over to level 20, starting to work on those 6-tier items. You don't want to have to contend with an enhanced Fire Giant from Hex Mambo. I tend to agree, especially if you can put out some poke like this. Zero dropped to 50% right as the Fire Giant lands. Massive. MastkiII in alone, trying to find that precision pick onto Dzoni, but is unsuccessful. Good peel back from the rest of Hex Mambo, secures that kill for themselves as lestimics now is forced forward, trying to create some space for the backline who have to deal with Deathwalker on their own, and Deathwalker is a menace. Dazer pulled away. Hex Mambo now on the disengage. Deathwalker eventually will fall down. Credit to lestimics, but Dzoni has been biding his time the entire time. 3-man dunk goes unrewarded. Not enough follow-up from the rest of Hex Mambo. 1-for-1 trade. Jungle for solo.
Yeah, but Dzoni's in the backline here trying to find someone lazy backing. TottiGR is already back and is on a ward at the moment, so lestimics will be able to spot out the Ratatoskr. Dzoni is going to have to run here. So a 1-for-1 trade, you're losing MastkiII and Deathwalker. I do give the favor over to the Hex Mambo, of course, because someone is going to have to clear those fire minions eventually. SAP7 is just doing so much damage, poking out Zyrhoes before the fight even started, and continuously just the stun into the NATO over and over again. Just so much damage coming out. And now, Hex Mambo, despite the fact that maybe feeling confident here, Deathwalker's teleport is available. They could start this FG, and he could join as quickly as possible, whereas MastkiII doesn't have that luxury. They are going to finally pull that enhanced Fire Giant.
lestimics showing some presence, has peaked the Fire Giant's HP. The rest of the Gilded Gladiators starting their rotation as well. This is not so simple for Hex Mambo. Remember back over the last 30 minutes, contested objectives, not exactly their MO. It's gone over to the Gilded Gladiators for the most part, so Hex Mambo will reset themselves. Gotta think the next team fight looks good for Hex Mambo, though, considering the relic situation. Only one, or only carry, rather, on the Gilded Gladiators that maintains their relics is SAP7. Beads and Aegis still available. Beads for lestimics as well. Outside of that, every single relic down. lestimics pulled in, takes a bit of damage from Zyrhoes, but they're just buying some time and space. Echrome and Deathwalker working on the Fire Giant proper, but it's a slow roll. lestimics pulled in yet again, this time into the Fire Giant pit and dropped incredibly low. Should be able to salmon leap his way out of there, but Deathwalker has shown a propensity for working his way into the back line. Credit to him for the kill. Dzoni, not playing patient this time, initiates immediately, connects with 3. That Ratatoskr putting in some work, and the Gilded Gladiators have fallen down. It is a spearhead initiation from Hex Mambo, and the Gladiators were not ready for it. Blitzkrieg. Gilded Gladiators only 2 strong now. MastkiII and SAP7 have to contend with the 5 strong of Hex Mambo. Thought we just see them start to work their way towards the base. Instead, Enhanced Fire Giant got to go first.
Yeah, I definitely thought that as well, and it looks like MastkiII is keeping some presence around this Enhanced Fire Giant. As Deathwalker will blink and get that Magi's Cloak down. A little bit of extra CC coming the way. SAP7 is here too. Hex, just fight. Why? I don't understand why they're even going for the objective. You can kill that Tiamat so easily.
Yeah, MastkiII figuring out that Deathwalker is not only tanky, but also does a whole lot of damage. 1v1 situation. MastkiII digging in his heels. Deathwalker hits him with a "Who do you think you are? I am." Should be able to finish off the kill. MastkiII, just good juke shoes for a moment, survives. Ruining my sick call, by the way. Gilded Gladiators now. Deicide delayed. Lestimics on the respawn. TottiGR on the mend as well. Dazer not too far behind him. Hex Mambo may have got the Enhanced Fire Giant, but the Gilded Gladiators not in the poorest position. Should be able to put up a defense with a 1-man advantage on where they were previously had Hex Mambo just pushed in after the initial fight. So it's a Phoenix game for now. Enhanced Fire Giant means you do not need to concern yourself with backdoor protections. Dazer takes some damage. Hex Mambo, they're not so worried about the Phoenix. They want to sink some damage into these gods. Lestimics pulled in yet again, goes golden in the air. That doesn't do a whole lot of good for you. Pulled in again, Zyrhoes, credit for the kill. Dazer just buying some time for the respawns, but does not buy a whole lot. It's all up to TottiGR on the base defense, and he's not willing to walk outside his Phoenix. Can't blame him with Dzoni in the air as such. Will join him in the fountain, but just to buy some time and space for the rest of his team to take out the Titan. Game 1 in this best-of-3 series goes to Hex Mambo.
I was going to say that the team, as long as you can get SAP7 down, as long as you can put some damage into this Tiamat, the fight after should be pretty easy. Everyone dies but SAP7 and MastkiII, and SAP tried to defend the Fire Giant, the Enhanced Fire Giant, I should say, essentially by themselves because Deathwalker was zoning. And after that, even though top of the damage charts, it was not enough. It just seemed like 5v2, that Enhanced Fire Giant, it's not going to help.
Yeah, it felt to me like Gilded Gladiators were continually looking for their opportunities. They wanted to take team fights. They finally get to the late game. And they say, all right, look, we're level 20. We can get active around this Fire Giant. Probably not the best initiation case for them. We'll break down the rest of this game right after this break.
Don't know if it's worth it. Oh, it's always the wrong day to show, and I don't know where to go now, go now, go now. Where to go now, go now, go now. No way of knowing where to go.
A dominant performance from Hex Mambo in Game 1, where they bring the action early and keep up with it throughout, despite a couple of stumbles, perhaps around some of these neutral objectives. I'm Mifflin, joined by Trelly Relly yet again to break down what's been going on in the European SCC. And I just gotta say, man, it's what we'd expect. Hex Mambo, undefeated for a reason.
Yeah, they definitely came out swinging. As you mentioned, the objective play, Dazer stealing away the Pyromancer, the Gold Fury going their way early on. The Gilded Gladiators would have loved that gold lead to shrink a little bit, but even with those objectives going their way, it really was not enough to deter the aggression from Mambo. Again, a play style that we don't usually see. They were still calculated and played for that late game enhanced Fire Giant fight, but they came out swinging off the backs of Dzoni and Trixtank, just being so aggressive, trying to stand at the forefront of these fights, make those rotations, and just force out relics so early on. When you start the fight with no beads, you're not going to end the fight very well.
Yeah, how do you feel about the Gilded Gladiators' composition in this match? Is this a comp issue? Is this a player issue? Is it just the play on field that needs to be changed up? Pacing? What do you think Gilded Gladiators are looking to adapt to in Game 2?
I just think there wasn't enough being forced for MastkiII to succeed on this set. Was able to find some kills in the return ganks, but in the late game, in a 5v5 situation, Set has to wait for his team to go in. Dazer would usually get plucked, jump away. lestimics would try to also run away. When the whole team is running, there's no golden opportunity. You'll see MastkiII a lot where he's just looking at his team saying, should I go in? I'm just sort of watching, waiting for something to happen. And the health bars just never get low enough. There's no opportunity for Set to go in. So I think getting MastkiII on something where he could be the facilitator and or someone else helping him out in these fights. I mean, lestimics tried, but got ganked pretty early on. Couldn't really match the tankiness of Deathwalker. So some extra engage would help out, and or just put MastkiII on something a little easier to execute on.
Yeah, I think initiation, I agree, was probably one of the glaring issues for the Gladiators. Something that could have started off those fights on the right foot. Because when you look at Sap 7's performance, 40,000 damage out of the Tiamat, you're probably not going to leave anything at his feet. MastkiII, the only one to get kills early on. Totti, I suppose, struggling a bit in the laning phase, but the main glaring issue as far as compositions for me personally was just the raw survivability of Hex Mambo's draft. Every individual member had 2-3 ways to deal with CC, relics non-withstanding. You could have a couple of those gods in your game, right? You could deal with a couple of them, but as you said early on, I believe it was around the 5-minute mark, really nowhere for MastkiII to go. Every single one of those lanes for Hex Mambo, just so survivable. Picks and bans for Game 2 getting right underway. Gladiators in the first pick position. I'm thinking maybe you're banning like a Ravana or just something. Maybe the Huang. I mean, the SPL's been putting some respect on that god as well. I'm expecting some sort of adaptation, and I want to see it sooner rather than later.
Well, you'll get that Ravana ban. Gladiators take that one away. I wouldn't be surprised if Mambo try and take away that Heimdallr. It's just one of the premier ADCs in the league at the moment for the EU SEC, and they don't like that safety. Chernobog has to be taken away, which we'll have to see what Mambo is able to do here. They will just take away that Baba Yaga because they're not first pick. They can't give it to Zyrhoes. And Osiris is going to be the option, so just some early aggression. Could be solo, could be jungle, either way. I like this a lot. It's one of those picks that doesn't reveal too much about your draft. You're always going to have some early presence. You can go for a Bumba's Hammer late game or of the Eye of the Jungle if you are in the jungle. Either one is just going to make sure that your early is pretty much cemented.
Yeah, so a good deal of early pressure as well. As you said, that flex potential in the jungle, meaning that you can go towards Mannequin Scepter Osiris and just get involved from minute one towards some of these less than safe targets on the other side. Not really any less than safe targets locked in just yet. Hex Mambo seems to have figured out they like playing the safe gods. Fafnir with multiple leaps and an Aegis built into the kit once you take over to level 5. Huang with his float as well as the dueling dragons. So hard to deal with. So if I'm MastkiII right now, I'm thinking to myself, not again. It can't be another 5-stack of safe picks. He's going to hold off on his own selection. I thought in that scenario, if I'm MastkiII, I'm just getting something that works regardless. Maybe like a CC monster like Hunbods or some global presence. Maybe like a Thor, Ratatoskr, try and match some of that pressure. If Hex Mambo is going to be safe all the time, when that safety is removed, you want to be able to close that gap early. Instead, the Gladiators holding off a bit.
But Mambo is going to grab that Hunbot you were talking about, so they're going to get a great CC ultimate on their side. And we glossed over it a bit. The Gladiators locked in the Kumba, which I think is going to be just the same sort of style that Trix was just playing, right? Where you want to stand at the front of the fights and just sort of, ward off the enemies.
He wants to be annoying, yeah.
He's going to be annoying, and that's what Kumba does really well. It's going to be some linear engage, which is what I think they were missing last time, where the Fafnir hammer is all well and good, but if you can't land it on a priority target, it's not the best. A Blink Mez is going to be disruptive to really any fight if you do want to go for that, or you could just sit in the back, get a shell, and say, hey, I will peel. I'll be on peel duty. I'll ult the Hunbats if he blinks in and stay there to help out the squad. But there's a few bit of bans there as I was rambling, and the Rama is going to get locked in. A decent matchup into the Jing way. I think being able to snipe off of the airstrike, always a good time.
Yeah, looking at this Gladiators draft, and I believe it was Mike that had said this originally, if you're going to have one dedicated initiator for your team, you can't do much better than a Kumbhakarna. That ability to just go in with the Mez, or the Groggy Strike, or the Epic Uppercut, just giving you all these opportunities. If you're using one for initiation, you've got the other two for peel, and vice versa. And looking at the draft as it is for the Gladiators, for the most part, it really is just up to this Kumbhakarna for initiation, up until this point. Persephone, locked in, Grasp of Death, ranged initiation, deals with some of these less than mobile targets on Mambo. Hunbot syndicates the leap, or if the float's down from Huang, you can probably force out some of these other tools. I really do like what we've seen from the Gladiators. I've seen the adjustments now. I feel like they've given themselves a fighting chance in the 5-on-5 engagement. It's just whether or not they can withstand that early pressure that we saw from Hex Mambo in Game 1. Do you think they have those tools?
Yeah, I would say MastkiII on the Awilix is a lot better as well. I mean, if Johnny's just leaping out, trying to get aggressive, you can probably look for that 1v1 in the jungle, forcing Johnny into beats early as well. There's no way he gets blink up against an Awilix, and if he does, MastkiII should be hunting him down at every chance he gets.
So we'll see if that's going to be the pacing as we jump into Game 2 of this best-of-3 series between Hex Mambo and the Gilded Gladiators. Gilded Gladiators looking to keep their lives alive. Need to win this one and the next one if you want them to win. Hex Mambo one away from securing this set. And looking at it, we do have Osiris over in the solo lane, MastkiII taking the Awilix into the jungle, everything else landing just about as you would have expected. But this is something different for Deathwalker in particular, not for Amaterasu. Deathwalker has shown a propensity to go towards Soul Eater every single game, regardless of God. I've seen him on Soul Eater Osiris. I've seen him on Soul Eater every single warrior in the game. Instead, a bit more in line with the standard, but still a slightly different take. It should likely be Golden Blade in that first slot. Going to help out a good deal with clear and rotation prowess for this Amaterasu, who's already got so much movement speed built into her kit. But with a Death Toll in that first slot, maybe concerned about the sustain advantage that Osiris should have, what lestimics has gone towards with his Death Toll.
Yeah, I think the Golden Blade's going to net some fast clear, and that's what you're really looking for, because lestimics should be winning out in these trades in the early, and then once that Golden Blade gets finished, Deathwalker can probably get out from underneath that tower and start to try and look to, trade some auto attacks back, get that Death Toll sustain, and try to get aggressive as much as possible. It does look like Johnny was forced into beat, so MastkiII has that blink opportunity. On the flip side, though, Johnny can still look for the Fear No Evil onto MastkiII now. You can feather step a bit, but you're still going to land in the center of that if you can place it correctly. So I imagine some aggression from both of these junglers towards each other, maybe just trying to stop some of that. Awilix certainly better in the early. You don't really need that level 5. You don't really need that gravity surge to try and get aggressive feather step. Just such a good engage. Does like half of a carry's health at this point in the game, and MastkiII's got the ability to do that.
Yeah, Sap 7, the one dropped low immediately as a small skirmish erupts in mid. Johnny able to connect a good deal of damage there. I tend to agree, though. Awilix certainly one that can get involved early on, especially going towards that third ability in second slot. It means that Hex Mambo really do have to show some respect in the lane. But maybe some mitigated respect, as Zyrhoes is playing Huang, has a good deal of aggression available to him, should be able to lock down a decent amount of poke. MastkiII getting aggressive, though, seeing if he could chase out Johnny, stealing away some of this farm. Johnny loses out on one, but secures the other, so a net wash, I'd argue, as Johnny is able to close up a bit of that level gap that had established earlier. Nobody going for the neutral farm in mid. It's all about the invade. And it is secured by Hex Mambo. 12 damage left, or 12 HP rather, after the surge from MastkiII. Leaves it easy for Hex Mambo's jungler to steal it away, which is massive. You'd expect the presence from Deathwalker and Johnny, or lestimics and MastkiII rather, to be a bit higher at this point, so even securing your own buff is really good for the laning phase. Deathwalker really didn't need that.
No, yeah, you have the Totem of Ku, you also have the Death's Toll Mana Sustain, so I don't think would have needed the blue buff specifically, but just wasting MastkiII's time I think is the best option there, right? You're just walking all the way over the blue buff, you're not going to get the steal, you got one of those backs as well, so not going to be the greatest opportunity for MastkiII to try and find some farm up against Dzoni in the jungle, as we see the mid laners just duking it out with each other. SMITE playing the Persephone. Hold that thought though, lestimics is going to get stunned out here.
The stun should be enough, and he's got enough time to turn around and sink some damage back into Deathwalker. Sickle tossed out. He is making me a bit nervous with how far forward he's standing, but lestimics, ever the veteran, knows exactly what his limits are. Deathwalker, no abilities available. We'll go ahead and let that one slip away. So Hex Mambo nearly pick up first blood at around the same pace as we had seen in Game 1, but lestimics on this Osiris, just a bit too survivable. Can the same be said of Dazer? Stun no good from Trixtank. Means that the fight is just completely over. If Hex Mambo could take over to level 5 off this wave, maybe an opportunity for Echrome to try and finish off this kill with his ultimate, but pressure belonging so heavily to the Gilded Gladiators means that Hex Mambo's going to have to wait a little while to clear this wave. You were talking to me a little bit earlier about how you had expected MastkiII to be the early game presence for the Gilded Gladiators. If you're MastkiII, where are you going?
I mean, we saw the blue buff invade attempt. That didn't go well, and I think if you do Feather Step, you probably get that guaranteed. But now, we are going to see a little bit of aggression in that solo lane, and it looks like MastkiII did get a little bit aggressive onto Zyrhoes as well. So you got the Blink, you have the tier 2 of Jotuns, Crusher, Brellers, whatever you're trying to force. I think you have a decent kill opportunity just waiting for Dzoni to ult and then trying to find him, because Deathwalker could be an option, but he's got beads and the Dazzling Offensive. And actually he doesn't. The Dazzling Offensive is down. Either he hasn't put a point into it or he used it just then and I wasn't paying attention. Either way, it looks like he did use it. So that's going to be down for a little bit. That could be an option, forcing out the beads, trying to get lestimics to get active in that lane. You could be trying to find some aggression there. I just don't think there's ever an opportunity for you to kill Zyrhoes as long as he's holding on to that Celestial Flight. In mid, the Huang just so safe. You're going to have some hard times trying to force him into anything. And then duo lane. Echrome's a possibility. I mean, he just has the dash. He can go up into the air, but as long as you do enough damage beforehand, you should be just fine.
And you got the chase down potential with Suku. So yeah, I agree. Maybe if you are going towards one of these side lanes, if Deathwalker doesn't have ultimate, forcing out the beads pretty important, but with desynced cooldown on ultimate and beads, you gotta think no matter what you're doing as MastkiII, one of the two is going to be up. Osiris, or lestimics rather, not really in a position to pressure out those abilities on his own, so Deathwalker, for the most part, can be pretty safe in this lane, so Echrome may be the only remaining opportunity for MastkiII throughout the early, barring a couple counter ganks towards Dzoni. Dzoni seems to be pretty content with just farming up on the map, though. Hex Mambo have got themselves a composition that scales very well into the late game, pretty standard, as you said, linear initiation from Deathwalker, Dzoni being a primary initiator as well. Means that stacking CDR should be the option. Trixtank is forced up, will use the Horrific as well. Zyrhoes throws out the Dueling Dragons, but not a whole lot of damage coming from either team just yet. Dazer commits the epic uppercut, and finally the Grasp of Death onto Trixtank, who is dropped low, leap available, goes for the stun first, but still survives nonetheless. Trixtank absorbs so much of the Gilded Gladiators' resources and buys time for Dzoni to rotate his way back in. Red buff not going so great. MastkiII doesn't feel so good. First blood over. The Hex Mambo, and Trixtank is still sticking around. Connects the stun onto Dazer. Damage from SMITE goes in again.
What?
All right, Trix. I can't stick with you through all that. Initiation from Deathwalker onto SMITE will force out the beads. Dazer completely and on his own in the jungle. Has to contend with Dzoni. If the leap comes back up, the slow should be enough from Somersault to finish off this kill, especially with the rotation from the Ram. Echrome connects the slow, but a blink is good. There's the slow. How are the shots? Ultimate shots, good. Passive still up. Dzoni can't stick around, but surely Echrome can secure the kill for himself and will do so. 2-1 to Hex Mambo, but have they stuck around too long? Echrome was always the target of MastkiII. He was able to leap his way forward. Echrome tries to turn around some damage on a Totti so that Dzoni can make his way out. So 2-2 at the end of the day, keeping the gold just about even.
I mean, this all started from Trix making a sick play there, making sure to stun out
He made like
MastkiII
8 sick plays.
and leap away. And then he decides to jump in, which is wild. Now MastkiII is actually getting forced. He gets the knock up there, does pull Dzoni in. It's just Trix to try and chase this one down. No damage available, so I think MastkiII should be just fine. But yeah, stuns out MastkiII, is able to jump out. The ult has come back up since we discussed it. That's how long that fight just happened for. And then Dzoni gets the return kill just because MastkiII has no beads. An easy fear no evil into a kill. I still can't believe Trix jumped in there on the SAP-7. I just don't see what aggressive play he saw there. Maybe just trying to force out anything so that Deathwalker could make that rotation in. Because, by the way, Deathwalker did make that rotation in. And SAP-7 was forced into the beats. Got the kill. No death on his stat line, I guess we'll call it. So you'll love to see that. And just so much aggression coming out from both of these sides. It looks like the gold lead. And no, there's none. I was going to say maybe looking in one favor, but it's completely even at this point. It's all tied up.
Yeah, not exactly a massive lead as so far as the entire team, but individual leads to individual members of each squad. Maybe about one level for Totti. MastkiII takes over to level 8 first. SAP-7 sitting at 9, whereas Zyrhoes just now ticking over to level 9. So slight disparities here and there, but as far as the entire teams are concerned, equalized across the board. Hex Mambo able to get the red buff for themselves, and Deathwalker seems to be the target of MastkiII, able to avoid the stun with the feather step. Deathwalker forced to use the dazzling offensive defensively there. Means that you lose out on the CC immunity from your ultimate. Bede's still down from the team fight. He's got to play safe around this blue buff, secured now by MastkiII, but no stick. It's the Gilded Gladiators on the retreat, worried about this rotation from Hex Mambo. 3 members now showing presence. Dzoni with an amazing Sacred Monkey, able to close an entire lane's worth of distance onto MastkiII, but does not finish off the kill. Can Deathwalker do it on his own? Probably not, especially if he's 50 feet in the air and under a tier 1 tower. Deathwalker sticks around for much too long. Kill over to lestimics, an overextension from the soul laner of Hex Mambo. SAP-7 has made the rotation as well, has got the ultimate available, but no line of sight onto the priority targets. Means Hex Mambo just lose out on one, and the Gilded Gladiators walk out scotch-free.
Yeah, I understand the play there. Deathwalker was trying to get the Golden Blade to be able to finish that kill off, but it just seemed like he was going for tower damage at that point because there was just no opportunity. It was a beautiful ult from Dzoni, too, pushing MastkiII back into the squad, placed it perfectly to make sure to get the max amount of CC there, but not enough damage on this Batz. Opted to go for that Transcendence Star. Don't quite have those stacks online yet. A Mace would net a lot more DPS, so once that Transcendence gets online, he'll be looking a lot better. Maybe that kills goes through, but not quite yet. So MastkiII able to live that one. Unfortunately for Deathwalker, he falls down, and Gilded Gladiators are able to climb just a little bit ahead. And it all started off from what just seemed like a solid blue buff invade from MastkiII. Deathwalker seemed to be getting over-aggressive, but the rest of the squad rotates in, and then you overextend a little bit trying to confirm that kill.
Yeah, seemed to be getting over-aggressive because he was the entire time. He was so angry that his blue buff was taken that he decided to lose 80% of his HP to a tier 1 tower. I'm glad you bring up these jungle builds, Transcendence first for Dzoni, but this is a common thread now for MastkiII each game. We'll hold that thought. Echrome force into the beads early, and all the good that did him. TottiGR able to pick up the kill very easily. Dazer making a nice rotation to secure that one for his team. MastkiII going towards Crusher and immediately to Transcendence has been a theme, as has the blue buff invade. I just won't ask about it. It seems that that's going to be the catalyst for action. Okay, I'm going to do it.
Go ahead.
What do you think of the Crusher in the first slot?
I like the Crusher a lot. Hold that thought, because it looks like Zyrhoes is going to get grabbed by the Grasping Death. Actually is not. And SAP-7 wants to finish. The Bone Rush is not going to be enough given that build, so never mind. There was no real threat there. Zyrhoes just be able to up and over that one and feel no more sort of pressure. But I do like it. I think if you are on the Awilix, you need to look to get aggressive early. Crusher, one of the best DPS items you can grab. And a Pyromancer. It's also going to help out the gold department for the Gilded Gladiators. So about 2,000, not quite 2,000, but give or take a little over 1,000 gold, 1,500 in favor for the Gilded Gladiators. Found some aggression in that dual lane. Great blink ult there by Dazer. Send that epic uppercut. Echrome has to beat and still dies. Now TottiGR 2-0 in that lane. The Jing Wei's online.
Good leap from SAP-7 to immune the majority of that Fear No Evil, but regardless, soloing those Oracles seems to have been a fruitless effort. SAP-7 maintains his life for the barest of moments, and that's it. Totti tries his best to defend his ally, but a good rotation from Trixtank zones him out and forces out the airstrike. And defensively, purple buff invade on the tail end will be successful as well. Hex Mambo find the 1-for-0 trade and the purple buff invade off the back of a Pyromancer for the Gilded Gladiators. Can they continue their onslaught? TottiGR hoping that the answer is no. Might just be hoping for nothing. Dzoni credit for yet another kill. Is able to disengage himself. Dazer He's got the epic uppercut, but he's got nobody here to help him until MastkiII turns the corner. Good knock up into a feather step. Will secure the kill on a Trixtank, but at what cost? Auto attacks good from Echrome, but no ultimate available means that this Ram cannot finish off that kill. So it might just be about the tower, or it might just be about Dazer's life. Sticks around alone yet again. Maybe thinking MastkiII was nearby to help out. Not the case. So a clean fight for Hex Mambo. Should have just entirely closed up the lead that was established a moment ago. The Gilded Gladiators, 2,000 experience and 1,000 some odd gold, immediately washed away.
Yeah, I don't blame Dazer for making that play. I'd probably want to defend that tower too, and given the fact that the Spear Robe and the Gauntlet of Thebes is available, and you have your Sleepy Time passive, you're probably feeling pretty confident going for that one. MastkiII gets the kill and says, all right, good luck, fam, and just dipped out. And unfortunately, once you commit that much to trying to defend the tower, Dazer was falling down, and a little bit of gold going into the pocket of Hex Mambo. But that tower going down will actually push them in the lead. I saw a lot of poke going in the way of SAP7. So Zyrhoes, I would say the Huang has arrived. He's got that Chronos Pendant, he's got Divine Ruin online. Hasn't been getting too aggressive, actually been getting aggressed upon a fair bit in that lane, but finally able to answer back some of the poke that this Persephone is able to deal with. I mean, the Huang, he's got some decent poke, but you usually have to use that to clear the wave.
Yeah, maybe not the best opportunities to clear wave as well as hit the enemy god, whereas SAP7 with Bone Rush is pretty adept at doing both. Hex Mambo aggressive in the Gilded Gladiators jungle. Echrome hovering the purple buff. Trixtank in the green buff. Has Dzoni just behind him. Perfect Emblem out. But you gotta think there's not a whole lot of opportunity for Dzoni to close that gap. Trixtank will leap defensively, knocked up and pulled back in. Gravity Surge expended by MastkiII, and Dzoni, who had been hovering in the jungle the entire time, finally takes his opportunity, pushes 2 into the wall, and Zyrhoes pushes him back into the wall. Kill onto SAP7. Dazer had Sleepy Time a moment ago, but no longer. But it doesn't seem to matter. Hex Mambo, happy with how the trade has gone. And the entire time they were fighting in the green buff, Echrome was fighting his own battles in the purple up against Totti. Wins out handily, takes the buff, takes the wave, and is able to reset himself back to neutral. Hex Mambo winning their 1v1s and 2v2s on the left side of the map means that they can look at the objective itself. Gold Fury burning very quick.
Yeah, I think that one's going to be free here. Even though Deathwalker doesn't make the rotation over, you don't need to. You just want to fight in the enemy green buff. The Gold Fury probably going to be a pretty simple task, and credit to Echrome for winning that 1v1 trade up against TottiGR as well. If the Jing weighs there, maybe the damage or the steal potential is enough to dissuade you from going for that objective, but poking her out, forcing that ultimate, no relics down, but enough from the snipes, was able to say, hey, Jingwei, back up, we're going to go for this, and that will go the way of Hex Mambo. So now about a 2,000 gold lead in their favor, 15 minutes into this game. Pyromancer's not going to be up for a while, and it looks like lestimics and MastkiII are trying to get aggressive. They have no real opportunities to find a kill except for on a Dzoni who has no beads, so maybe if MastkiII finds that Batz, forces out that leap, and then gets a free pull back in. Even so, it seems like when Dzoni gets close to MastkiII, he's taking a fear no evil to the face. It doesn't really matter if you pull him in, you're going to get CC'd after the fact. So is that a fight you really want to take? With no beads, maybe. Yeah,
for the next 80 seconds, MastkiII certainly would love to take a fight anywhere Dzoni isn't. Dzoni, on the other hand, knowing that those beads are down, would love to close that gap onto MastkiII. Similarly, MastkiII still working on the Transcendent stacks, meaning he hasn't found the full value of that item. Hydra's just finished for Dzoni, a core item on Batz, going to help out his burst damage a fair bit, so significant power spikes over to Hex Mambo nearly across the board. You've got the Shoguns finished for Deathwalker. Zyrhoes finally gets that Soul Reaver, so tanks aren't as unkillable as they once were. Speaking of Deathwalker, a solo blue buff attempt here as he lines up against a couple. Seems to have gone his way. lestimics unhappy with the pacing, trying to put some damage back in, but with Trixtank making the rotation, should have just been a clean invade, and Deathwalker is exactly capable of that. We've seen this 1v1 a fair bit, and Echrome has won it just about every single time. Separate's maker is that there is a bit of crit chance available to this Jingwei, and a jungler showing some presence. Hex Mambo take the Pyro. Last time, it was the Gilded Gladiators on the Pyro, and the fight to Hex Mambo on the other side. Can we get the inverse as MastkiII forces both relics from Echrome? Good trigger discipline from MastkiII. Says, hey, I got both. He's a dead man walking. Next team fight happens, we're just going to get onto that guy. I'm not going to dive into the tower. I'm not going to leave it up to risk. Let's play for the team fight later. Unfortunately for the Gilded Gladiators and MastkiII, with both the Pyro and Gold Fury dead, where's that team fight going to be?
Yeah, probably underneath a tower at this point when you're trying to defend the aggression of Hex Mambo. Echrome, as you mentioned, did use both relics, so could be a decent target. Dazer's been on point with the blink ults over onto that Rama, so if you see an opportunity to get aggressive, it would be in that duo lane. But Trix is here, and TottiGR needs to back up, and it looks like that will be. I was going to say maybe some aggression, maybe trying to get the reverse of maybe, hey, we use both our relics, we'll try to get some of your relics down, but I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think Jing is going to feel out of place, even with a hammer stun connecting. You've got the airstrike available. TottiGR went for a more of attack speed oriented build, so you don't have to worry about the crits either.
Yeah, so Toddy maybe playing with danger, but a weighted deck in his favor with all the survivability available. Blink forward from Dzoni. Does eventually get the beads from SMITE. A good rotation from Trixtank, able to secure that with a hammer stun. So Johnny's got a good target for his ultimate. Grasp of Death connects with the jungler while tanking the tower. So Johnny not even allowed to get involved in this fight. Rotation in from lestimics, teleport to the tier 1. Hex Mambo, scatter to the wind. Good counter initiation for the Gilded Gladiators, specifically SMITE, to playing around all that aggressive, not only maintaining his life, but stripping a whole lot of Hex Mambo's relics. Dazer left alone up against Trixtank, might have bitten off more than he can chew, but should be able to disengage yet again. These two teams just playing a tug-of-war with their positioning and resulting in a net wash.
Yeah, SMITE did use both relics as well, and a hammer here could be in trouble, but MastkiII did not leave. MastkiII stayed, doesn't have the ult available, actually does, so if someone cheaps it, but Dazer's
See ya.
dead.
Dazer steps too far forward yet again, not putting enough respect on the damage output of Hex Mambo. Johnny similarly had, I suppose, assumed Gravity Surge was down. Assumption incorrect, loses his life to MastkiII on the tail end. Gilded Gladiators in a position of power have taken 2 down, only 3 remaining on Hex Mambo, but a TK on a MastkiII means the fight might be more even than initial glance will reveal. 4 strong on the Gilded Gladiators, but no objectives to immediately run towards, means that for the next 20 seconds, could just be both teams waiting on respawns. Think the Gilded Gladiators could probably set up some presence around the Primal Fury? Where are you headed if you're the Gladiators here?
I mean, I would say probably just to get some vision onto the Primal Fury. It's about to spawn in. You want to make sure those oracles are down. I don't think there's any aggression to be had if you do go for a pick and it drops at this point. You're wasting a lot right before a Primal Fury fight, and I think that's risky. So I'm going for the oracles for sure, and it looks like MastkiII's more worried about Deathwalker and this blue buff. A little bit of gold could go a long way, and Deathwalker's not the tankiest, but will be able to confirm his own buff once again, so not too worried about MastkiII and lestimics trying to go for this.
Meanwhile in mid, Zyrhoes, good timing, is able to maintain his beads. Dazer, I suppose, too early on the epic uppercut. Will not connect with that, and the Dueling Dragons is expended from Zyrhoes. Dazer does not have his passive to play with, so all this damage is pretty impactful for the next couple of team fights. Primal Fury spawned up, and Hex Mambo back at full fighting strength. I would have loved to have seen the Gilded Gladiators, as you said, take this time to show presence around the Primal, get some vision advantage, maybe even set up the defensive positioning instead. Attempted blue buff invade 20 minutes in, probably won't net you a whole lot. Doesn't net you anything as MastkiII is unsuccessful. Could be Hex Mambo setting up their position first, or potentially looking for a pick. SMITE playing pretty far up in this lane, using the extended reach that Persephone has got compared to Huang to throw out some poke and maintain some safety. Neither one of these teams in a position to just straight up force an objective. 1,000 some odd gold, not enough of an advantage for Hex Mambo to really just go ahead and start a neutral. But the next couple of neutrals might be indicative of the rest of the game.
Yeah, given the fact that they picked MastkiII and lestimics as picks, the Awilix and the Osiris to get that early game presence, they go late game to get online, Jingwei's got Deathbringer. I mean, TottiGR is 3-1. As far as I'm concerned, they have reached that late game point where they've got that hard carry. Play around this Jingwei, protect her as much as possible, and she should be able to hard carry these fights. Deathwalker isn't that tanky. Went for the height of the Urchin, and there's not any stacks on it, so you're missing out on a fair bit of protections. You've spent a lot of gold to not really get too much value. You're expecting to get a lot more active. 0-1-0, you know, that's not the height of the Urchin build, right? You want to have like 10 assists at this point, so it hasn't really been finding too much of the stacks, and this is the value that you would love to be seeing. My point is, TottiGR is going to be shredding through that like butter, and it looks like the Primal Fury is going to be looked at not by the Gladiators, but by Hex Mambo.
Hex Mambo pull out the Primal and reset. TPN from lestimics, so it's a true 3-on-3 on the left-hand side. MastkiII hovering in the jungle while Johnny just clears out his speed buff. So the Gilded Gladiators have got slight advantage here. They do not have the bird's eye view as we do, so they do not realize Johnny is on the opposite side. And Dzoni doesn't seem to care whatsoever. He's just splitting up the entirety of the map. If he decides to push down those towers on right, he will get the towers. But in showing presence, the Gilded Gladiators will know it's a 5 versus 4 opportunity. Dzoni just now showing himself. Gilded Gladiators in a tough position. You group up, try and take a tower to match that presence from Dzoni, or do you chase out some kills? Echrome forced to use his Aegis early on, but a rotation from Deathwalker forces MastkiII to disengage. Dzoni continuing his onslaught on the right side of the map. The Gilded Gladiators have to do something to force Hex Mambo's hand. Could just pull the objective and force them forward, but Hex Mambo is still so strong that that's a hard call to make. And you've lost vision on Dzoni. He could be right behind you for all the Gladiators know. A lot of posturing. Primal Fury dropped to 50%. Hex Mambo starting to step forward. Grasp of Death committed. Primal Fury still pulled out. Finally reset. Deathwalker dropped to 50%. MastkiII dropped to 50%. Now it's a turnaround. Dzoni in the backline connects his ultimate. Lestimics into the wall. Dazer separated. First kill goes to Hex Mambo. Trixtank would like some more. Lestimics drop down to a quarter HP. CC's good, but the objective's the name of the game, and Hex Mambo take it for themselves.
I mean, Dzoni was in right lane for so long, and it just seemed like the Gilded Gladiators were so scared. I saw TottiGR channeling the back for a second, seeing if he wanted to fly over to right lane and stop that aggression. Just pull the objective. You got Persephone burst. I feel like that would have been a free call, but they stalled for a little bit too long. They were, you know, should we go for it? Should we go for it? When they finally decided to pull, Dzoni's behind you, as you highlight. He just made that rotation in. They're able to get the pick onto Dazer and the objective going their way. And now, that Batz has a Bumbus hammer. He spent so much time on the right side of the map farming. He's got a pretty massive lead. I mean, MastkiII has 3 items, a tier 2 Bloodforge, and now it's Fire Giant time.
Yeah, it seems Sap7, the only one in range to put up any form of defense, and without that ultimate, not willing to commit his body. So instead, it's a free Fire Giant over to Hex Mambo. Finally, a bit of separation in this match, 24 minutes in. Hex Mambo not only in a gold advantage state, but a map advantage state, and Fire Giant on all 5 members. The Gilded Gladiators showing a bit of presence on the right-hand side. I'm expecting a soft defense, especially considering Hex Mambo have not grouped up as 5 just yet. Where do you think the Gilded Gladiators dig in their heels? Soft defense on tier 2, hard defense? What are we thinking about?
It looks like they're going for a hard defense on tier 2, but probably not the best option. Your grouping is not here, and TottiGR has to force the dash immediately, as it looks like there's a 1v1 in the jungle happening as well, so Dzoni and MastkiII will not be joining.
Sap7 steps too far forward, takes a whole lot of damage. Rama up to the air, first shot good, third shot good as well. That's the first kill. Dzoni may have been in a 1v1, but MastkiII did not love his odds, so easy rotation for the Hunbots behind the tier 2 tower. Another phenomenal Fear No Evil. 2 for 0 trade. Fire Giant still on 5. Hex Mambo starting to break the base. Phoenix on the right-hand side falls down. You still have eyes on lestimics in mid. Hex Mambo approaching the Titan room, not concerned with the towers still standing. This Titan's pretty healthy, but burning quickly. MastkiII gonna have to show some presence soon. Finds the pull onto Zyrhoes with the beads still available. Titan down to 50%. Gilded Gladiators not stepping so far forward, but Hex Mambo reset nonetheless. Zyrhoes knocked up again, but MastkiII does not have his ultimate. It's just a little bit of damage into the Titan, 50%. Now tier 2 in mid should be dropped down with relative ease. The Gilded Gladiators on the respawn, on the mend, have Dazer back and at full strength. Sap7 rejoins the land of the living as I finish this sentence. So 5-on-5 engagement, but with a broken Phoenix on the right. Maybe not the most impactful Phoenix to take, but with how much time is still in this Fire Giant, Hex Mambo can play with that pressure on the opposite side of the map. Head back to base, spend all this gold, regroup, start your siege on the left.
Yeah, given the fact that there was so much up, hold that thought. Dazer blinks in here to catch out Zyrhoes. TottiGR has a lot of crit chance, but the Aegis will be used.
Zyrhoes survives for a moment. Dazer can't say the same of him. Totti was baited into a poor position and falls down. MastkiII has to make sure something goes in exchange, so we'll pick up the kill onto Zyrhoes. Now it's all up to Dzoni in a 2v1, and he avoids the grasp of death with the Sacred Monkey. Phenomenal play. Mechanical mastery from Hex Mambo's jungler. lestimics now on the retreat, forced to use the Lord of the Afterlife over the wall.
Hammer.
No CC except for the hammer. Good call, Trelly. lestimics stuck and dead. It's only MastkiII still standing
Deathwalker's
to defend
ended.
his base, but Deathwalker, yeah, well, he's making short work of the Titan on his own. MastkiII buys a little bit of time, but the rest of Hex Mambo quick to rotate to the Titan room, and game 2 and the set will go over to the veterans.
It's wild that I'm in a headspace to think, like, you can't give Dzoni Batz. I mean, there's so many junglers that are high priority right now, but Batz is getting like
Not
third
again.
pick,
Okay.
and I mean, he just looks insane on it. As you mentioned, use the teleport to avoid that Persephone ult. Chase down so clutch. I mean, anyone who can use the Sacred Monkey Toss to their advantage, that shows the mark of a good Hunbat player. Anyone can place the ult. It's just how are you throwing that? When do you choose to teleport? Are you using it to juke out those abilities, things like that? Disgusting on this pick, and I don't think he missed a single ult. Like, they were all on point, making sure to CC it towards the team where they needed to be. And of course, the whole team looked good. Trix was annoying as per usual on that Fafnir, but I gotta highlight Dzoni, and I might even continue to do so because he just did so much damage as well.
Yeah, the machinations of Hex Mambo's game plan were clearly written on the wall, right? I mean, it was early farm. It was zero presence in the lane except for a couple of picks for Dzoni. Outside of that, Transcendence in first slot, everybody's stacking up, not a whole lot of presence around these objectives. Eventually, once we got to the phase of the game where you could team fight, Hex Mambo fall into their OG MO, which is, hey, we team fight better than the majority of the people in the league, and well, that rings true yet again. Just great presence from the jungler and just continual pressure around these objectives from Hex Mambo. Felt to me that the Gilded Gladiators were playing better around the objectives, and that was true in games 1 and 2, especially throughout the early portions. But there came a point, and even when the Gilded Gladiators were finding these small team fight wins where they could not transition it into something lucrative. It wasn't, hey, we got to pick, let's go to the gold fuse. Hey, we got to pick, is their purple buff up? Hey, we got to pick, is their blue buff up? And 20 some odd minutes into the game, that's not really going to net you a whole lot. Hex Mambo just showing that veteranship and just mechanical mastery, as you said, from Dzoni to net themselves this dub.
Yeah, for me, the biggest losing moment there for the Gilded Gladiators was when they had that 4v5 advantage. Dzoni was split pushing in right lane, and they decided not to pull that Primal Fury. I mean, you have a 3-in-1 Jing Wei, crits online, the Deathbringer was just finished. It seemed like they had all the advantage in the world, but they just weren't ready to pull the trigger, and this is when he uses that teleport to immune that.
Yeah, the Grasp of Death just so close to grabbing him, but not quite. Yep. Just clean play, man. Dzoni clearly realizing exactly what his limits are. 7, 1, and 8 performance, 15 affected kills by the jungler of Hex Mambo. Everybody else having pretty stellar performances as well. I think maybe some over-aggression from Dazer. It's that the mid-game portions really hurt the Gladiators in that regard. But Hex Mambo, undefeated for a reason, continue their onslaught in the European SCC. If there's any one team to beat, it's got to be this, guys.
Yeah, and I don't even hate the over-aggression from Dazer. I think he was seeing the same thing we were, where it's like, it's time to get active.
Yeah, we're bleeding out. Got to do something.
We need to do something, so I don't think I fault him. I think the team comp definitely falls off. Awilix, not going to be your best option for an engaged late game, so Dazer's like, I'll go in and set up as much as I can. Hopefully, the team can sort of rally around that. Lestimics, you know, wasn't able to get to the backline and be that chainsaw that Osiris was, the way he itemized, more so going for the Glad Shield and protections route. So I think the whole team comp sort of fell apart if you couldn't play off the back of TottiGR.
Yeah, just love exactly what we saw from Hex Mambo throughout the entirety of that game. Just felt like they were never really in question, right? They had control of the entirety of the map, but Hex Mambo is not the only team we're going to get to watch play and win today. We've got plenty coming up for the rest of the day. Let's go ahead, jump straight into the schedule, and see what we got coming up. I know we got one more in Europe, right? So if you're a fan of the Highland Ravens or the Styx Ferrymen, make sure you're sticking around and watching that matchup. Going to have a lot of implications on the standings as we round out. After that set, we'll move over to North America. Do you have any standouts here? Anything you're excited to see from the Ravens or the Ferrymen?
I mean, I'm definitely excited. I just realized July 1st. Like, we're in the latter half of 2022. You saw my eyes light up. I was like, wait, what's good? I can't believe that. But no, I'm definitely excited. Obviously, coming off of a loss to Styx Ferrymen, would love to come out swinging here to make sure that they show some face. And I would also like to see later on the Wargs get their first win, because they're sitting at 0-3.
Yeah, Styx Ferrymen at 1-2 up against the Ravens at 2-1. Hex Mambo maintain their undefeated streak at 4-0, and if they're able to keep this pace, if they're going to keep performing as they have been, that's going to turn to a 5-0 and then a 6-0. It's pretty clear that Hex Mambo have been dominant in the EU SCC, and I'm just excited to continue to see how this team continues to grow and just thrive and iterate on their style, and eventually maybe some matchups with the SPL squads. It's just a treat to watch the SEC in general.
Yeah, I would say so. I think this meta fits their playstyle super well as well, because again, in phase 1, they were not on this point, right? They went to like an 0-3 start, and then towards the latter half when Masters was coming, that's when they heated up, and I think they've for sure figured out their playstyle.
I'm going to go ahead and get out of your hair, guys. We got another game coming up right after this break.